There we go. There's a chat button at the bottom, and that's the one that I'm going to initiate a chat to you, and it'll just show up on your screen, and you'll type in the answer to the question that I ask. And this is what we're going to do for elections and for our special resolutions. If you have trouble with that, let me know while we're doing it, but it's pretty straightforward. Questions from the membership? That's you guys. Unmute yourself and just say your name. If there's multiple people saying their names, I will choose a name. So I'll acknowledge you, and then you can go ahead with your question, and we'll just work through questions in that process. Eventually, I will hear your name, and you will be invited to speak. All right. So now I'm going to try and share something with you. And where the heck is it? That's not what I'm trying to share with you. Can everyone see that?
Not me.
Not on there. There we go.
What do you see?
We got it.
The agenda, I guess. Oh, it's a file, a folder with files in it.
It's on your Explorer right now, but your other file will probably open up pretty soon.
How's that? Okay, I hate this thing because it's, let me try that again. How's that?
Big screen.
That worked.
There you go.
That says the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, great. So hopefully you've all had a time to look at the agenda, and I made a couple of changes to it, nothing huge. And so are there any additions or things we should take off the agenda or corrections that you see in front of you right now? I don't hear any. So may I have a motion then from the membership to adopt the agenda? Ian Robbins, seconded. Sue Walker, all in favor? Or how about those opposed? Anybody opposed verbally? Okay. There we go. The next document I'm going to try and share is the do we see that?
The second file.
Yeah.
Not open. Just highlighted on the list.
Damn thing. I knew this was not going to work for me. Oh boy.
There was a bit of a delay when we tried it earlier, so it could be just it loading maybe.
How's that?
Nope.
Try to get your cursor down to the file and see. It's currently parked.
Do you see that?
Nope.
What a misery.
Why don't you go back out and come back in again like you did last time, Jeff, on the agenda? That seemed to work.
The other option is I can try if you want, but you got to let me share.
Yeah, just a. Share screen. How about that? Does anyone see that?
Nope.
Just the list again, not the actual file.
Aha. That's it.
It's a pretty lousy system unless you download the whole thing onto the into some sort of other file format. But then yeah, it's like 5 clicks to do it. Anyhow, these are the minutes of the last AGM. Hopefully everyone had a chance to look at these and review them. Are there any comments or deletions or anything on these minutes? All right, it seems like the minutes are in order, which is nice. So may we have then a motion to accept the minutes of
Motion to approve, Grace.
last? Thank you, Grace. And a second?
Gary, second.
Thank you, Gary. And anyone opposed? Wonderful. Therefore, we will accept the minutes of the last AGM. Now, next on our agenda is my executive report. I'm not going to even try and post this.
We've already started, I guess.
But what I'm going to do is read it to you. It's a little lengthy, but there's a lot to say, and it's been a year and a half since we've been able to talk to you all. So here we go.
I thought it was 7.
Get out of here.
There's just a few people there who are not muted themselves. Welcome everyone to the 2020 Christina Lake Stewardship AGM. This past year of 2019, and of course now into 2020, has been one of change and challenge. Not so much in what we do, but more internally within the organization itself. Early in the year, the board found itself in need of taking a critical view of our operations, what we were doing, how we were doing it, and what we'd like to be doing. Some programs had not had much attention for a few years, and others needed some tuning. What we needed was to be certain that we were doing was what we said we were, that priorities were being met, and all the while being sure we were addressing the needs of our mission. Were there programs or projects that needed more or less attention, and where there are initiatives that we needed to add to the plate to meet present day demands and issues? Through this process, we became aware that our present structure was not serving the CLSS in the most productive nor efficient way, and that operationally we needed to make some adjustments to streamline and fully utilize our assets and resources. Our present structure of a staff manager running all aspects of everything was problematic in many ways. CLSS had grown over the years, and the day-to-day demands far exceeded the capabilities of any single person. As well, the board as a whole was found to be less engaged in decision-making in regards to the direction of the society than they should be. After much work from everyone, we finally were able to put down on paper what we were doing, how long it took, and along with a priority level, we were able to assign responsibility to each specific project, program, or task. Coming out of that, along with the priority level, coming out of that, the board elected to follow a new structure whereby CLSS would follow a 2-coordinator model, farm out some admin to professionals and delegate other admin duties to the board. This model would allow for both coordinators to be able to focus more directly on their assigned projects, utilizing their educations and experience to their full potential. During this process, in early spring, Nick Kapiak, one of our coordinators, resigned his position to pursue other ventures. This left Brenda with a boatload of work ramping up into the summer. A job posting was put out, and after a couple of months, Susie Adrian Vincent, here today, was brought on in May as one of our two main coordinators working alongside Brenda. As the summer approached, Brenda was now coming from an already overloaded desk tasked with bringing Susie up to speed, and in addition, in 2 weeks after Susie, our summer student Jordan Field arrived, also needing orientating and training. To say the least, everyone was pretty heavily tasked and challenged going into June and July of 2019. It was an impressive effort by all involved in that summer came and went without so much as a few bumps and bounces. September into December brought about a much calmer environment for everyone, and we were able to take stock and review the past 6 months, reflect on our decisions, and plan forward for 2020. The board was confident that the direction taken was the right path, and although somewhat of a bit of an uncomfortable ride, it was one required in the long-term interest of CLSS as a whole. In early December, it was determined that the coordinators really needed some admin support, and so subsequently, an administrative assistant position was designed and posted, the result being the taking on of Kim Now, who is with us as well today. Unfortunately, though, at December's end, we received notice of Brenda's intention of her plans to retire from the CLSS. So at this time, we are once again taking stock, evaluating our position, and preparing for our next decision to hire or not. This decision will take a bit of time as there is so much to catch up on, and the decision to not rush into further commitment just yet seems to be the prudent one to take. As I mentioned, after much deep consideration and thought, Brenda retired from CLS in late December, and as we can all appreciate and acknowledge, it was Brenda who through countless hours, days, months, and years built CLSS into what it is today. Brenda came to Christina Lake in 1994 after working for the Federal Department of Fisheries and Oceans and Sciences in the Ocean, Environment, and Fisheries section as manager. On arrival at the lake, Brenda went on to work as forestry technician in the Timber and Roads Division for the Provincial Ministry of Forest. She completed her forestry technology diploma at Selkirk College in 1999, which further drew her deeper into the environmental sector of life. Brenda joined CLSS in its infancy and quickly became its driving force to bring the society to where it is today. Her drive, fueled by her passion for and understanding of the environment and the high-level importance of protecting it. Many of you who go back almost 2 decades will recall Brenda's involvement in its evolution. It goes without saying that Brenda's accomplishments are nothing less than outstanding. Due to her passion for the environment and hard work, CLS is a well-established and respected environmental organization, not only in the boundary, but provincially and into the United States as well. Along her way, Brenda established many programs that are still relevant today. She drove and delivered on many projects that have had a lasting effect and has established relationships and networks that keep CLS current and engaged in high-level stakeholders to this day. It is difficult to put a finger on all her accomplishments, but fair to say they are impressive and something to be very proud of. Just have a look at our website or office, and pretty much everything there Brenda had a hand on. Wow. Although Brenda's leaving will take considerable time and effort for CLSS to adjust to, we do wish her the best in her next adventures. As well, we look forward to maybe having her dispense some of her sage wisdom back into the society at some time. Fingers crossed. So at this time, the board and staff are working on an appropriate way to properly and formalize Brenda's contribution over the past 18 years. Personally, I want to recognize and thank our staff and board of directors for the incredible work they do and for the support they have not only shown for me this past year, but for the support and respect to each other and the society as a whole. This has been a challenging year, and I've been very impressed in everyone's ability to avoid distractions and keep the interest of the society forefront and foremost. Not an easy task, but one duly accomplished by all. More specifically, I want to recognize our present staff, Susie and Kim, for their interest and to date obvious dedication and excitement in being with the CLSS. As well, we will want to recognize 4 of our board members that have moved on this year: John Maximenko, Ian Robbins, Paul Idle, and most recently, Raymond Vega. All of these directors came to the CLS with a lot to give, certainly gave more, and now find themselves involved in other ventures around the lake. Their contributions were meaningful and impact, and I know I can say we all greatly appreciate their time and effort. We cannot go further without acknowledging the incredible faith and support we see from our local government. Area C Director Grace McGregor, Donald Machinsky from Gateway Coordinator, and the staff of the RDKB. They truly have us at heart and consistently support us not only administratively, but financially as well. We cannot forget the huge amount of volunteers that continue to make us a success year after year. Pretty much everything we do relies on volunteers, and they certainly do a lot. Last fall, we held our first volunteer appreciation barbecue, of which we believe will become one of our yearly anticipated events to attend. And finally, I want to recognize and thank you, the membership of the Society. Without a strong membership, where would we be, as you make up every and all the parts of what we are trying to achieve? Thank you.
Here, here.
May we have a motion to adopt that lengthy report? Ian Robbins, second.
I will,
Lisa.
Mary.
Mary, thank you, Mary. And any opposed? Okay, carried. Now, we're going to let somebody else try and share the screen. And Susie, if you will load up your show. And Susie is going to give us our coordinators report. She's smarter than I am.
Okay, I'm just gonna So this is just a quick summary of our the activities that we went through this year. So actually, I don't know if you can see the whole screen. Let me just. There we go. Is that okay for everybody for size?
Yeah, that works well, Susie.
Okay. So our purpose is to preserve and protect the integrity of the lake and to encourage and inspire environmental stewardship throughout our watershed, which includes not only Christina Lake, but we do take into account the Grand Forks area and kind of our surrounding area because it's all really important to us. So Jeff already introduced the staff. It was myself and Kim. We also had a summer student this year. His name was Riley Strang, and he's on for just a couple more days, and then he'll be off back to school. So he got hired in July. We had a bit of a late start hiring him just because of everything that was going on, but he's been pretty good anyway. Our projects. So this is a new look at the interpretive gallery, and this was kind of completed in November 2019. Brenda had started it with the idea of Nature's Art Nook, which is this great little kids corner that was created to help kids come into the gallery and give them something to do while we're in there. We kind of continued it with this mural. So Sue Walker as well as Heather Hollingsworth, they were in there for a few days painting this mural. The intent was that it would work as kind of an interactive piece. So it was also, I think it's beautiful. But it turned out to be really good. So we also added some exhibits in there so that people could kind of interact with the wall. And then of course there's all the other stuff that we have in the gallery that we've kind of moved around and freshened up a little bit. This was done in part with a grant from the Phoenix Foundation, and as well with the RDKB, Christina Gateway, Boundary Invasive Species Society. Of course, Heather was the artist on this with help from Sue, and Gourd planted and donated the wood that we had to make these big shelves. And we had a lot of really great volunteers that helped paint and build the shelves, some of our wonderful board members. Hang on here. Going backwards. Here we go. Another project that was new to us this year was the Fish in Schools program. So what this was an Okanagan Nation Alliance program. They put it together as an educational tool to teach children about salmon and their life cycle, as well as the history and the importance of the salmon run, the historical salmon runs in our area. So we contacted them and were able to get a tank in our gallery. So we ended up with 100 salmon eggs, and those were all hatched, and we ended up with about 30% of that we were able to release as fry into the Columbia. So that in June, we went to a ceremony with ONA, and they released another around 9,000 fry, which were a lot bigger than ours. And we got to take part in that. So it was Jeff and Jackson and Jeff's sister, and then myself and my kids. And then there was a few people from industry, and then ONA. So Jeff and Jackson had a big part in raising the fish towards the end because we weren't in the office. And we're going to be doing it again next year. So it's kind of a really neat tool. There was a lot of interest from people who were in the Welcome Center to come down, and they just to kind of see how the fish were doing. So it's also a benefit to ONA because they're able to get their program out in a different venue than the schools, because kids aren't always taking the information home with them. So in this case, a different audience can kind of see that. In our invasive species monitoring, we do this every year as well. So for northern pike, zebra quagga mussels mainly, we were working with the province. In 2019, we worked with the province again to conduct, it was with the Habitat Conservation Trust Fund to conduct our substrate and plankton haul monitoring, and that's for aquatic invasive mussels. We also worked with the province as well as ONA on some northern pike monitoring. If it gets a little noisy, my kids are coming inside, so I apologize for that. We continued the sampling program this year, so we increased our sampling for zebra and quagga mussels. We're doing it bi-weekly, where last year it was monthly. And then coming up, actually starting tomorrow, we're working on a project to identify if there's any reasonable or if it's possible to put any kind of a barrier in Christina Creek to keep the northern pike out. So that's kind of a barrier feasibility study that we're working on with a consultant out of Nelson. Just so everybody knows, the sampling that was completed in 2019 and so far this year in 2020 for mussels has come back negative. So that means there's nothing in the province at this point, which is fantastic. It's kind of a scary thing, but if we're all diligent, hopefully we can keep them out for a lot longer. If you see here, there's signs in the middle, this attention invasive species. Those are new signs that you might see around the lake. There's those ones, as well as one with a kayak. So what we are finding is that people who have kayaks and things like that are not always the ones that are aware of invasive mussels. It's mostly the boaters. So we put some of those along some of the beach access sites in Christina Lake, and that was with the BC Invasive Council. Some education. So the Texas Point kiosk, if you've been out on Fridays at the boat launch, you'll usually see us out there, and you'll see this kiosk that has a lot of information on northern pike as well as invasive mussels with the clean, drain, dry messaging. So Fridays, our student, and this year we had volunteers from our board that came out. So we spend every Friday out there just educating the public and seeing who knows what about mussels. And if they don't know, we tell them. And if they do, that's great. We can kind of report back on how much or how far the message is spreading. We did it last year. We're doing it this year again. Our last one is actually tomorrow. And we'll continue doing that. Our lake cleanup day, everybody is pretty familiar with this one as well. So this is last year's photos. We had a really good turnout in 2019, lots of volunteers. Same with 2020. In 2019, we were able to have a barbecue because we weren't under any restrictions. 2020, which was our 20th year, by the way, we had from the Hearth that donated some bag lunches. So we were able to kind of line everybody up, pick a lot of garbage. So this year in 2020, over 6,000 kilograms of garbage. Does that sound right? Was taken to the waste transfer. The RDKB waived the fees for us, which is great. And so we found that this year there wasn't a lot of transient garbage, but just kind of a lot of other stuff, cigarette butts and things like that. And I have heard that already after this summer, there's a lot of garbage around the lake. So there's going to be a lot to pick up, I guess, later on. It seems to be this was the first year that I ran it. So I was really impressed at how people were so proud to be there and proud to be cleaning up the community. That's something that I really took away from it. Our public education. So this is something that we do every year as well. So we have kiosks. There's 4 kiosks around the lake. We also have highway banner signs and then those new ones that I was talking about. And so that's all education for mussels, kokanee, invasive species, and so on. The newsletters, e-blasts, and pamphlets. So we try to put those out where we can with kind of current events or any kind of education. We do that every year. Community events, we generally would go and set up an education at homecoming. We did in 2019, and of course everybody knows what happened this year. And then also last year we had a few school sessions. So I had some kids come into the welcome center, into our gallery, and I also went to the school and brought a bunch of stuff to a few classes there and just taught them a little bit about wildlife, which was pretty fun. And then our summer program. So last year we had about 11. We did 11 sessions with kids from ages 5 to 12. This year we weren't able to do any sessions, but what we did do is we generated an outdoor program where people could, we put a dozen signs out, and so people could go and walk through the park with the activity sheets that we created and interact with those signs, and then just kind of learn that way, where we didn't have to worry about people contacting anybody outside of their circle. The derelict dock removal program. So if anybody's not familiar with this, it is where docks are dismantled, either docks that people around the lake do not want anymore or that they are abandoned. The material is salvaged, it's either sold or repurposed, and what's not is sent to the waste management. So in 2019, there was 7 private and 2 regional district docks that were taken care of through this program. In 2020, I can't recall if we've done any as of 2020. We were waiting for some paperwork to come back from the province, which we've kind of just got sorted out. But we already have a lineup of things that are kind of ready to go when we can get there. So here's some of the pictures. These guys do a lot of really hard work getting this stuff out, and I think it's pretty admirable that a lot of this stuff can be salvaged and it's not burnt on the beach or taken care of in other ways that used to be, or how it used to be done. Lake water quality monitoring. So that's done by a volunteer, Leo. He goes out from May to October and he does some lake clarity, temperature, and pH. That stuff all goes sent to the province. We also do fish habitat monitoring and kokanee enumerations. So 2019, we had removed that beaver dam a few times on Sutherland. And I think it's back this year. We're going to have to go check. And we also had McRae, which was dry again this year. There was some flow towards the end, but that was already past the run. That was in 2019. Again, this year it's dry. And then our kokanee count for 2019, they peaked on September 14th for Sutherland at 89. And this is after the calculation. And Sander peak was on September 11th. And we noted that they were larger last year than previous years. Every 4 years, I guess, they were larger. And the fish were higher up Sutherland Creek than normal, or than in previous years as well. This is our last year's student, Jordan, on there, and the solar aquatic system. So we had quite a lot of interest in the aquatic system last year. We did quite a few tours. It's a really interesting building. So a lot of times people will come in asking us if they can tour the greenhouse and buy some of our plants. But this year, it's just not been possible to have people in there. So we try to notify and talk to people from outside. You can see a lot from outside, so you can kind of give a tour that way, and then just provide them with information. And so it's great that the regional district kind of allows us to take part in that. And this is just a list of folks and organizations that we are able to work with. So the ministry, Forest Lands Natural Resource, and the regional district, and of course Grace, ONA, Colville Confederated Tribes, Region 8 Fisheries, Government Canada, Interfor, BC Invasives Council, Canadian Freshwater Alliance, BC Parks, BIZ, as well Habitat Conservation Trust Fund isn't on there. And there's likely a few more that have kind of peeked in and out through the year that I missed. And that's it for my presentation.
Thank you, Susie. Great report. All right, we're
Lane
just gonna.
here, does that make a quorum?
Hey, yep.
Is there with Lane here?
So we're going to deal with the roll call now. I thought I'd give it a little bit because there might have been a few latecomers, and we did have 2 late people come. So I'm going to just send you all a chat, and if you can just type in who is attending at your place, or if it's just yourself, or if you have 4 people, and this will be recorded, and this will go towards our BC registry and gaming and all that we need it for. So this is the there we go. And if you just all Susie.
Sorry.
Susie put it on private. Okay. You should have that now. So everyone hit their keyboards and just type in your name or the name of the people that you're with. Just your name, please. Don't add any other text. Thank you, Grace. Everyone have a chance to do that? You have to hit enter, obviously, after you type your name in, so it comes up on the screen.
There we are.
Okay. And you should be able to see here. All right.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Do you see it, Randy?
No. It's just sharing your screen. It's not sharing the document like you did with the other 2 documents.
It's so frustrating. How about that?
Yep.
Wow.
That looks good. Thanks, Jeff.
So just let me know when to scroll. So this is Randy Nawada. He's our treasurer, and he's going to go over the financial statement with you.
The first document we're going to look at is our year-end financial statements for 2019, which was done by Leah Azure out of Grand Forks. You can skip right through to page 2 of that document, Jeff. And you will see, this is the first page is, or page 2 is assets, and it does a comparison from 2019 versus 2018. So assets were up a little over $10,000. You can scroll to the next page, Jeff. And to make sure everything's balanced, the liabilities, you're on page, yeah, you are, okay. Bottom of the page, yeah, it jives with the assets on page 2. So I don't have a whole lot to tell you on these 2 pages, so we can carry on, Jeff. Page 4. And this is showing a breakdown of our revenue. We've got our federal funding, which was down a little bit in 2019 over 2018. That's because our gas tax funding ended in 2018. And the gas tax funding was providing funding for our restoration site and the nursery. Provincial funding is up a little bit. Our gaming grant, they increased in 2019 over 2018, and that shows up. And then the $2,500 from the Ministry of Environment, that was, we sold some trees out of our nursery to the province for a restoration site they were doing. And then the habitat is up a little bit because we did an additional program over 2018. Regional district funding is up. One note there is the grant and aid was not $25,531. It was actually about $8,000, and then we had a little over $17,000 from some funding from the regional district that we put into 2019 from 2018. So we carried it forward. So that's why it shows a little bit more in 2019. Our dock program was pretty much the same as other years. I guess it was down a little bit. Oh, that's right, because in 2018, we actually, even though it wasn't a dock program, they did a big garage sale, which generated about $5,000. So that's under donations other, you'll see in 2018, it was almost $8,000 versus $2,400 in 2019. Our charitable funding, pretty self-explanatory. It was from the Phoenix Foundation. That was a grant, actually, that Susie talked about that we did in our gallery. And other income is our memberships, a little bit of interest and a little bit of deferred contributions from our membership. So our overall revenue was up about $20,000 in 2019 over 2018. Next page, Jeff, please. These are expenses, 2019 over 2018. Can you scroll up a little bit more, Jeff, please? Yeah, great, thanks. The major component here why things are up a little bit is our wages. We had Brenda then, we had Susie then, and yeah, just we had 2 coordinators that were costing us a little bit more money in 2019. But you can carry on. Otherwise, expenses are pretty typical. There's nothing really glaring there. Sorry, that first section was our education program. Second one here is monitoring program, and then special projects. So if you go to the bottom, or actually the next page, sorry, Jeff, it'll show you our expenses sorry, here's our operation expenses. They are up too. Our wages are up a little bit there. And our professional services were up, which was our accounting and some other professional services. So overall, our expenses were down a little bit in 2019, and that's why we have $22,482 we carried forward into 2020. Yeah, you can keep going. Yeah, page 7, there wasn't really a whole lot to tell you there. Same even on this page. It just shows you at the end of the year, we had $99,302. That was what we started 2020 with. And you'll kind of see that number when we look at the 2020 budget. That's our funds starting out. These are just some notes from Leah that refer to some of the numbers and stuff generated in the year-end financial report. I think next year, though, I should go ahead of Susie because this is a little boring compared to what Susie has to tell us about all our projects and programs.
Oh, we got some
Anyway.
exciting stuff coming, Randy. Don't worry.
Anyways, okay, so that's it. Are you doing questions or not really, Jeff? We're just kind of at the end, we're going to do that?
No, let's please, does anybody have any questions about this specific report?
Perfect. Carry on.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. Now we're going to move, I'm going to share another document. I think I got this figured out now.
Good. You're getting good at it.
Wow. Do we see that?
Not yet.
Okay. I knew it.
Same issue. You always have to do it twice. It's
Yeah. How about that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
It's kind of blurry. I guess maybe because it's been scanned and emailed a couple times and uploaded and stuff. But this was a first attempt for me at doing what I call a divisional allocation budget. And what that means is we allocated all our revenue to each one of our programs or projects. The first part here is just our bank accounts, our assets. So if you look on the right-hand side under assets, bank accounts, it says just about $91,000, but that's without $9,500 in our doc fund. So if you remember back at their year end, we had 99,000 and a few $100s. That's the start of our year there for 2020. But again, this is just our budget. This is what we're anticipating our revenues are going to come in and our expenses are going to go out. So our overall revenue, I don't even see that number on this now. Oh, that's our liabilities. Sorry, you'd have to keep going down, Jeff. A little too far. Just up a little bit. Sorry, right there. No, it wants to jump right there. So we were anticipating our overall revenue would be around $147,000. We already know more than halfway through our year that because of COVID, there has been some revenue cuts that we've experienced. We still are on track or below what we're anticipating for our expenses. And I'm still looking forward to having, like you'll see at the end, about $24,000 that will carry forward into 2021. The green shows our gaming grant education programs. And this is where I broke down this whole budget under each program or each project. And it shows where the revenue is coming from on the left. And on the right are our expenses. You'll see they balance each other. And that's typical going through this whole budget. Our next section in this budget is the monitoring programs. And this is more a really good internal document for Clss to use, especially when we do our gaming grants and the way we keep track of all our expenses and our revenues coming in. So it'll just make things way easier for us moving forward and to carry on with this system. If you keep going through, yeah, we've got our monitoring, which is what we're looking at right now. I'm not going to go through each section. It's more just the general concept of how we came up with this budget and why we're doing it this way, right? So, and then other projects is a breakdown again, same thing. And then the last one is our operational, which is in blue. Yeah, and at the end, if you go to the end, Jeff, it'll show what we're anticipating carrying forward into 2021 is that $22,000, almost $800, right? And I showed you what our wages are at the very bottom, $91,669. That's what we have in this budget. So again, I think we'll be under our wage allowance in this budget, but we'll have to wait till the end of the year. So that's it.
Any questions on the 2020 budget? Okay, I just want to comment that divisional budget that Randy put together was the last piece of when I talked about in my report that we did sort of a critical look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what it's taking to do it. And so that all started out with defining exactly what we do, how long it takes, and where it sits in a priority list. The last piece of that, which was an incredible amount of work done by Randy, was actually putting a budget to all those projects and pieces of those projects. So we can now sort of look at everything and know exactly where we are and what we're doing. So, you know, really good, really great job there, Randy. Thank you.
Welcome.
So may we have a motion then to accept the financial report as presented by Randy?
Gary so moves.
Gary Shaw, second.
I'm
Raymond? And all those opposed? Nope. Okay, so be it. Carried. Now I got to share another document. My word. Can you see that? No?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, we can see it, or I can.
the special resolutions.
Yes.
Okay, so these special resolutions, and I don't know if you all had a time to read them, and they're going to change our bylaws if we pass them. And they're really just sort of some housekeeping that needed to be dealt with, but we cannot change our bylaws without going through this process right now. So the first one here, special resolution 1, all it does is add the word or family into it. It was just specific to individual, but families have the same ability to create memberships as well as individuals. So that's special resolution 1. Special resolution 2 is allowing our staff to be members of the society as well, with the caveat that, of course, if there's voting or issues to be discussed, that most generally would have to do with their remuneration or the term of their contract, that they would recuse themselves on those events. And then special resolution 3 is just changing the names of those resolutions. Hopefully everyone had a chance to read those, and pick through them. Are there any questions in regards to these resolutions? Any comments?
Do you need a motion for that, Jeff?
Yeah, so what you're gonna do is we're gonna get a motion, and then I'm gonna send you a text, and the text, you're gonna answer yay or nay. That's all you're gonna answer. You don't need to put your name in or anything else, because it'll be recorded who is answering anyhow.
That
Okay?
would be yes or no, right?
Yes. I don't know if Robert's rules allows yes or no's. I think they like their yays.
Oh, we're gonna get that serious, are we? We should start over with regional district then. I'd still be on there.
So may I have a motion to, for the, we're gonna do all 3 at once. So I hope that's okay with everyone. So a
Well,
motion,
that's what I was doing. I was trying to make a motion, but I didn't know. if you-
yes, we're gonna do all 3 at once.
Okay,
Who's motioning?
I am.
Oh, Grace is. Oh, second? Sorry, Grace. I'm stressed out. Somebody else second?
Second or?
Was that Raymond?
Okay, good. I second.
All right. All those opposed? There are none. So I'm just going to type this text, and then I need you to just yay or nay it, okay? Okay. There you go. You're voting. I think that's pretty much it. Okay. On to the next item.
Yeah, I did.
Looks like it passed because we only need 75% and there are no yays, so nays, noes. So we'll go on to the next. Sorry. I can't believe that just happened. Does everyone see that? Probably not, eh? There it is.
Oh, there we are.
My word. Heart's beating. Okay. This is an election of directors. So I'm just going to scroll down here a bit because the one that you received before previously had Raymond in it, but Raymond is so heavily tasked with all his other commitments with the community, and I really understand. And Raymond, I can only thank you and Renata so much for being a part of the CLSS the way you have, and I know that you will be in the future. But Raymond is not now on the ballot. So we have 6 people on the ballot, Randy and Gary, because they're executive directors. Their terms carry on till next year, which is actually really March. And so these other 6 people, Len, myself, Mary, Annie, Doug, and Sue Walker, have all agreed to return as directors. So I'm going to call for nominations from the floor for additional directors. So are there any nominations from the floor for directors? And
Hi, this is Susie Gray. I'd like to put my name forward.
okay, wonderful, Susie.
What?
I'm just going to write that down. I have no way to add that to the document, and you don't even want to see me try. So I'll call again. Are there any other nominations for directors? And one last time, are there any nominations for directors? All right. We'll add Susie's name to that list, and because there is no point in an election, this election will run by acclamation. So these are your directors for the coming term. At the next, thank you, Susie. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, wonderful. At the next board meeting, the positions of president and secretary will be decided upon by the board. And that's a in-board decision. And there we go. All right. Any questions or concerns about the way that election went? Great. So now this is the open floor. This is done all our sharing with you. And so it's a chance for you, the members, to ask of any questions or give us comments or inspiration or ideas.
Just one question, Jeff.
Sure, Ian.
First of all, congratulations to you all for one more year, and for Susie, the new board member. I'm sorry I won't be with you, but I will still be a volunteer for the society and in various activities. My question is there any movement on what's been decided to honor Brenda concerning, some sort of send-off or some sort of
Yes.
expression of our appreciation.
Yeah, great question. So we have identified a certain amount of funding, and that came through donations from the board, and then of which we matched that from the society itself, I do believe through the dock fund. So it's a pretty good amount, and we're looking towards a gift for her with that, and we're also working towards something that'll be more permanent within the CLSS office that will speak of her time there. A nice painting or a plaque or something in that direction. It's just sort
Kim
of
and I
sitting
have
on the
ordered.
Sorry?
Kim and I have ordered a gift already. And it's in Nelson. We just have to go and pick it up. So we agreed on that kind of metal art. So that's what we did. And then we've been working on the plaque and how to make it fit our gallery and be still kind of a tribute to, and kind of a little bit more modern than just the typical plaque. So it's in the works.
Yeah, and this would have been done a lot sooner, but the semantics of this year, we knew that we want to be able to do this somewhat personally with Brenda, and so we're just gonna have to sit on our heels a bit and wait for that so that can take place properly. We don't want to do it on Zoom or anything silly like that. So it might be a little while, but it's certainly in the works, and it's going to get done, and we think it's going to get done properly. Any other questions or?
Thank you.
Come on, somebody have a question. No? Okay. Therefore, lack of any other questions, and I believe we covered all the business, and I really want to thank everybody for making their time tonight and participating in this first ever virtual AGM. I'm very pleased that it's over. I'm very pleased that we have a quorum, and just thank you all again. So have a great night. I need a motion to adjourn. I don't need a second.
Motion to adjourn.
Adjourned. Thank you, Sue.
Good job, everyone. Thanks. Good night.
Thanks, Donna.
Welcome aboard, Susie.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Welcome,
Awesome.
Susie.
I hope the November election in the States goes as well.
Yeah.
We can only hope. Susie, I'll get a hold of you in the next couple of days.
That'd be great.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Take care,
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thanks, everyone. God bless.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. Way to go, Jeff. That ran smooth as glass.
Ah.
What I have to put in the glass right now that is going to be
Broken
smooth.
glass.
As long as it's broken glass cake, it's all good. Good
All right. Good night, everyone.
night.
Night, night.
Thanks for the update.
Who'll be the last one?